Hi, everybody, and we are here today with Nadine Hanchar, and thank you for joining us again today. It is lovely to see you once more.
Thank you, Brenda.
So Nadine is a counselor, consultant, speaker, and a trainer since 1986, and she has recently become an international best-selling author, and that is absolutely amazing. That's a hard thing to do, I know. Hey, as a personality profiling expert, Nadine is the developer of the PEP personality process and the author of Knowing Me, Knowing You. The PEP personality process, which offers incredible insights into ourselves and others and how our processing styles affect our personalities, relationships, communication, and life. She is proficient in a wide range of modalities and disciplines and has taught most of the therapies and techniques she uses. Nadine specializes in working with trauma, abuse, relationship issues, and communication. Her results-oriented approach is designed to resolve the root cause of issues. This allows the person, the couple, the family, or the organization to go forward with a better quality of life. Again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brenda.
So, the question today is, we're going to ask Nadine is, what kinds of abuses are there? And I myself have fallen into this trap of not knowing whether I was abused or not. And I hear people talking about, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm abused. So Nadine is going to clarify what kind of abuses are out there that people suffer from.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I'd like to start with is just some signs to look for. And keeping track of everything you do is a sign. Being jealous, controlling, angry, demeaning you, physically hurting or threatening you or someone that you love, forcing you to have sex or intimate relations when you don't want to. You know, those are all some signs. But let's go into the types of abuse. Okay, everybody I think knows physical abuse, and physical abuse has to do with, you know, violence. It can be any kind of physical attack, shoving, slapping, hitting, anything like that. I mean, that's, you know, anything, you know, even driving in a car in a frightening manner is actually a form of physical abuse. A lot of people don't realize that.
No, I never thought of that.
Yeah, or invading your personal space is also included as a type of physical abuse. And then, of course, we have sexual abuse. And, you know, sexual abuse is when you are forced to do something sexually or intimately that you do not want to do, or even, you know, if you consent to kissing and they think that kissing means that they can have sex, you know, anything that is that really feels uncomfortable and you don't want to do, and you feel coerced or powered, you know, overpowered, or, you know, or forced in some way to do something that you don't want to do sexually or intimately. Then we have psychological abuse, and psychological abuse takes so many different forms. Psychological abuse takes so many different forms. I've got a list here, and you know, because there's so many different things, I didn't want to leave a whole lot of things out here, but no. You know, basically, if the person is overpowering you by isolating you, by causing you to feel frightened, by, you know, trying to humiliate you, negate you, criticize you, control you, shame you, blame you. One of the things they're very good at, and this is a real sign, is that everything is your fault. Everything, they're very good at flipping it over onto you. They're very good at blaming. They're very good at making you feel small, demeaned, undermining. Psychological abuse has to do with undermining your self-esteem, undermining your self-worth, to the point where you don't feel that anybody else would want you, that you don't feel that you're, you know, that you can get away. And you know, that's really, I mean, there's, like I say, so many different ways.
Yeah.
Always texting you, always wanting to know where you are, always wanting to know who you're with. Oftentimes trying to create trouble between your friends and family. Trying to, anything that you like to do, your hobbies or anything like that, they're trying to get you to stop doing it. They don't want you to do anything that they're not doing with you. And they want complete power over you and complete control over you. So that's sort of your psychological abuse, and that creates, in many cases, a codependent relationship. So codependency is another way of understanding that there's been some kind of that something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
There's something needs to be addressed there. Did you want to say something, Brenda?
Well, it's so true that just listening to all of the things that you're saying about the different types of abuse, that it's mind-boggling. Like, I know that, when you were mentioning sex and abuse and not wanting to be intimate and things like that, I mean, a lot of people think that just because they're married, they have the license to be able to force your partner to have sex whenever and wherever they like. And if you don't want to do that, then that's a form of sexual abuse. Being married doesn't give you a license to own the person and to use the person in however way, shape, or form you want to.
I'd like to address that, because there's a lot of confusion over this, and a lot of the confusion comes because some of the laws in the United States, in some of the states, were not changed until 1993.
Yeah, it's insane.
And so, there's a lot of confusion. If I'm married, does that mean I have to have sex? Or, men feeling, or, people feeling that, that they have a right because they're married to have sex. And if it's not consensual on your part, it's not right, period.
Yeah.
And it could be considered abuse. Yes.
Yeah. So true. And I mean, a lot of people fall into that trap of, well, he's just worried about me. He wants to know where I'm at, what I'm doing, because he's worried, and he just loves me a lot, or, however they want to go. And I see that a lot, where people are, oh, my husband is texting to find out where I'm at, what I'm doing, or he doesn't want me to be with this person because he doesn't like them, and he doesn't like my family, so therefore I can't be with my family, but he just really loves me, and I have to make a choice between my spouse or my family. And so I'll choose my spouse. Well, you shouldn't have to choose one or the other.
No, and this is another really big thing, because a lot of times it's not, they don't forbid you to see them. They just make it so uncomfortable. And so there's always some kind of what I would call punishment for them seeing that friend or seeing that family member or going and doing that hobby. And so over time, it wears you down. And what happens is that it's easier to not do it than to do it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's always a price to pay. I know with my ex-husband, there was always a price to pay. If I seen somebody that he didn't like, or if I talked to somebody that he didn't like, there was always a price to pay at the end of that. And you don't think that is actually abuse, and you kind of know it is, but you really don't want to admit it that it is. So yeah, it's insane.
Well, then another thing that I want to clear up is that a lot of people think that they must be weak or something, but in actual fact, very strong, very accomplished, very wonderful women, men, depending on who's being abused in the situation, get into these situations. And it often starts off quite romantic, and you feel loved, and the person is giving you all this attention. And it's like I said at the, in another segment we did, it can be very, very subtle. It can be very, very, it isn't so obvious. It's a little by little by little that it can wear away at you, and you don't realize that you've given up your power, and you don't realize you've given up control. And the obvious ones are obvious, right? If you have a black eye, you have a black eye.
Yeah.
But it's the more subtle ones that people get stuck in relationships for often a very long time because they don't realize it. No. And verbal and emotional abuse are another form of abuse. And the hypercriticism, the refusing to communicate. A lot of people don't realize that the silent treatment is a form of abuse.
Yes.
So if somebody's refusing to talk to you, or refusing to give you affection, or refusing to engage with you in terms of if you're trying to have a conversation or trying to talk to them about something, and quite often with verbal and emotional abuse, if you're trying to talk to them about something they don't want to talk to you about, they will actually either get really, really angry, and that's a way to shut you down.
Right.
Or they will give you the silent treatment, which is another way to shut you down. Or they will leave, and that's and so that those are ways that they're controlling your talking to them about the things that you're feeling, or talking to them about the things that are going on in the relationship that you're not happy with.
Yeah,
and
I always equate, sorry to interrupt, that when you said that things happen subtly, I always equate it to, when you can go to the deli store and you can buy this big, long piece of bologna. And I always say it's just one small slice at a time. Like, you can't cram that big hunk of bologna down somebody's throat, but you can certainly slice off a small bit each time and just keep feeding them till pretty soon it's all gone. And that's the subtleness of how it works, is it's just one small slice of bologna at a time until you are at the end of it and they have mastered it all. I want to make a point, because you said, like, the silent treatment and things like that. I guess I abuse my husband a lot because if he pisses me off, sorry, I decide I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, just get out of the way. So there must be a difference between just an everyday, I don't want to talk to you because you made me mad, and the psychological treatment of the silent treatment because I don't want to communicate with you.
Sometimes the silent treatment can go on for a very long time. With my first husband, that was one of his methods of actually control, was that he would not talk to me for days. Oh. And so, that's a little bit of my history.
That's a little long.
But the thing is that it can be derogatory pet names. So again, it's just a little undermine every time they call you that derogatory pet name. Or it could be, I love you, but. Yeah. Or I love you, but you need to do your hair differently. Or I love you, but you need to.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane what is out there. Well, thank you very much for that, Nadine. And if anybody has any questions regarding what we talked about today, please put it in the comment section so that we can address those concerns, because as you can see, there are many, many forms of abuse. And if you need a little bit more clarification, certainly reach out and ask that question, and we'll be able to answer that, because we're just trying to keep the segment short so that we're not overpowering anybody with all of this stuff, but please ask the question. And if you are seeing somebody already, note that this is just for your knowledge. We want everybody to be aware of what types of abuse are out there, what you need to look for, but this does not replace any therapy that you are in right now or any counseling that you are in. This is just knowledge, and knowledge is key. So once again, thank you, Nadine, for that, and we will address more of these riveting questions in our following segments. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for having me, Brenda.
Thank you.